All right, I think we're live, and hopefully it's not going to crash this time. I think it's working, but we got no people. It's Monday morning. Julia's here. Fantastic. Hi, Julia. How's it going in the other room? Morning, Scott. Welcome to the IG Live. I can see you guys' questions if you type in the chat. We are bright and early here, day after Boxing Day. $11 a.m. might have been ambitious for the poker world. We'll see. Welcome, welcome. How did you guys enjoy your holiday so far? Good morning. Good morning, people. How is everybody doing? Yeah, we're getting the turnout. People are filling in. Can you guys see this picture of Rocco on the wall? It's pretty epic. This was Rocco's gift. Rocco's gift to us. Lost $300 in 20 minutes playing PLO in Houston. Well, I mean, that'll happen, right? It's PLO. You can lose a lot of money very fast in PLO. You can also win a lot of money very fast in PLO. In fact, at the beginning of my poker career, I had a friend who he deposited, I think, $300 on some online site, maybe Bodog, and ran it up to about 80K in 3 weeks, which is insane, right? But of course, then he busted it because he's playing, at the edge of his bankroll the entire time, and he could never really succeed in poker beyond that because, basically once you run up, $200-300 to 80K, you just always think you can do it again, and he could never practice sound bankroll management because he had that experience. So, yeah, and PLO's a swingy game. I was playing some PLO last night, some little 2-5 and 5-10, and it's they always got 30%, right? Rocco should be an NFT. I have no idea how to make that happen, but I think Rocco's face on an NFT would look fantastic. Actually, one of the things I want to do, if you guys, on my Instagram, my story highlights are super outdated. Like I made those 5 years ago when I first started coaching, maybe 6 years ago. So the stories of Rocco, there's videos of Rocco from 5-6 years ago. And I want to do the same thing I did for my face. So it's like put the little green background around Rocco's face with the tongue. Like, I think it'll look really good. But I don't know how to make Rocco an NFT. To be honest, the whole NFT thing, I get it, and I get why it's really popular. But I don't know how to get involved in that without devoting an awful lot of time, resources, and energy into learning about how to do this. I mean, I think a lot of people that launch an NFT, they have a whole big team behind them and all this stuff. And I just don't want to put my focus on an NFT because I really don't know what the utility would be. For me, I want to put my focus on bringing people together, doing a retreat. That's sounds a lot more fun to me to hang out with people in Tulum than to, try to figure out how to monetize the picture of my dog. Although I would love to have it. I just don't know how to do it. Hello, Poker Bro. Poker Bros is the softest action that we have found. Our 5-card PLO team is absolutely crushing on Poker Bros. It's exciting every week. I'm like, what's the cash out this week? What's the cash out this week? And I'm like, enough to buy some Rocco NFTs. I'm a broke high school kid. What's your plan to be a less broke high school kid? I was once a broke high school kid. I worked at Subway and I made $6 an hour. So there's nothing wrong with being in high school and not having money. It's all about having a plan. You can find a job and start reading audiobooks and just, life is a learnable skill. Once you realize that, the world is your oyster. Oscar in the building. What's up, my man? Oscar is one of the rocket ship drivers in my 5-card stable. Absolute crusher at 5 and 6 card PLO. Also a very frequent guest in our weekly mindset chats. We have a weekly coaching call every Monday, and Oscar is in there all the time posting pictures of where he's meditated recently, and really, really took to our program and has been a great asset to our team. There's that rocket ship. Runo! What's up, Runovich? Nice to see you, buddy. Runo is one of my past coaching clients from Ukraine. He's an online tournament player and a very cool guy. We've had some fun experiences in Kyiv. So good to see you, man. Merry Christmas. The exodus of poker players to Kiev continues, Runo. And just the other day, I got a message from a friend of mine, asking me about spots in Kiev, and I was like, "Where are you now?" You just brought the Christmas tree to your apartment, bro. It's the 27th. We're a little bit behind the eight ball. People are welcome with the Bitcoin there. Oh, oh yeah, you guys celebrate a different Christmas. Is that right? I know Chinese have a different New Year. Kiev has a different Christmas. That's right. That's wild, man. I mean, I'm wearing the hat just to kind of cover up this. This is the I grinded Sunday and then slept and woke up for an Instagram live hairdo. It's very nice. I'm an Orthodox Christmas elf. I don't know if you knew that. Auntie, what's up, my man? Long time no see. How are you? We had a great mass of poker players on the beach here in Playa del Carmen on the 25th, and about 13 of these Santa hats in a bag was 90 pesos, so basically like $4.50, and we had a big bag of Santa hats. And then we had like this one of the guys who's lived here was lived here for 10 years. His name's Gus. Speak of the devil, as I say his name, he hops on. So Gus has lived in Playa del Carmen for 10 years or perhaps more, and he set up a Christmas tree on the beach as he does every year. And no one else does this. I don't know why, but no one else thinks to do this. But he's got a golf cart and all these Christmas decorations and like drives to the beach every year, puts his tree up on the beach. And it really like you have strangers coming up to you and they're like, "Can we take a picture with your tree?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure." And they're like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." They're like so appreciative. And it really like kind of just makes the vibe on the beach, just having a bunch of people over and everyone's wearing Santa hats. And we've got a tree with lights and everything. I even have toys for some of the kids. So one of the things I've been doing for many years is amassing a bunch of like stuffed animals and toys and giving them out to some of the kids in the neighborhood. So really cool stuff going on here for Christmas in Playa del Carmen. What's up, Scott? Nice to see you, buddy. Does anyone have any questions? If not, I'm just going to keep talking about Christmas traditions around the world. Australia is another place that has really nice Christmas on the beach. I remember when I lived in Australia, we did barbecuing on the grill, like kangaroo sausages and stuff, which I guess doesn't sound so nice if you're a fan of kangaroos. If you've ever met kangaroos, kangaroos are dicks, so don't feel so bad. But yeah, barbecuing on the beach in Australia is really nice for Christmas as well. I'm trying to think where else I've spent Christmas. A number of places, I guess. The funny thing about doing an Instagram live is like everybody else talks in the chat box, but you just talk out loud. So you're standing in your living room and just like having a conversation and just spouting out about anything. Because if you stop talking, then it feels like it's quiet. And other people on their phone, they're popping it up, and if I'm not talking, they're like, "Well, what am I doing here?" So it's kind of just like, "Oh, I guess I'll keep going." Actually, one cool thing we did this holiday season was about a week ago. Julie and I went to Tulum to visit a good friend of mine who's a poker player from Finland who was living out there, and he had a open mic, like an open microphone, So he had one of these scheduled, and he was going to perform, and it's stand-up comedy. And I mean, like, I got there, and I had nothing prepared. I'm not planning to do any stand-up comedy, of course, right? But I got there, and I was thinking, this could be really fun. So I took out my phone, and Julia's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I'm just like, "Nothing." And I open Evernote, and I just start like, typing down and pounding out like notes, trying to come up with a script that I could say if I went up there. And as I kept going and like writing some things out, and being like, "No, that wouldn't be funny," and deleting stuff and like continuing to write, I kind of got it in my head, like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go up there, like, no preparation, no, nothing. Just like, I'm going to go up there and tell some jokes and hope they're funny. And actually ended up going up there and doing really well. It was super great. It was really fun too. Like, I haven't done something like that in like over a decade, probably, like gone up on stage and done like stand-up comedy. And it was really, really fun. Actually, I told the story of how Julia and I met. And I also talked a bit about my parents' divorce because it was, a good self-deprecating source of humor. But yeah, it was really fun. So, I mean, I guess the lesson there is just never taking yourself too seriously and remembering to get outside your comfort zone. I was just sitting there, I'm like, if I go up and I'm terrible and nobody laughs and it's awful, nothing bad happens. I lose nothing. It's like, okay, that was an experience. But if I walk away and I'm like, I wanted to do that and I wished I was like comfortable or brave enough or whatever to just give it a shot, but I didn't shoot my shot, I would have walked away feeling like a loser, feeling like, man, I'm still not there yet. And one of the worst feelings you can go through life with is like this feeling of it hasn't happened yet. Like your life, you're still waiting for your life to begin. This is the biggest mistake you can make. So it's honestly not that different. I mean, about talking to someone from the opposite sex, right? It's like you don't want to go through life thinking, oh, one day I'm going to shoot my shot when I want to. You want to be in that flow that when you see an opportunity that you want to take, you're in the spirit of taking it, because you never know how much time you have and how many opportunities you have, and you never know how much one interaction can change your life. That person you didn't talk to could have been your wife. So I think really valuable to get into the habit of just realizing you've never had anything to lose and going for the things you want, whether it's in business, whether it's in personal relationships, or just having fun. Don't be afraid. Don't be waiting for the day when you're more brave. Just one foot in front of the other and just give it a shot, because you rarely have anything to lose. It's usually just the ego, right? We're afraid of the stories we're going to tell ourselves in our own head if we try something, it doesn't work out. And just learning that, like, that's the way life works, is you fail forward. You try stuff, it doesn't work out, and then you're like, okay, so what did I learn? And what would I do different next time? All right, let's try again. And the moment that you learn not to beat yourself up for failing, but rather to congratulate yourself for trying, like, everything in your life can change. You just become someone who's on your own team. And as long as you are willing to give it a shot, it's a success. And it's so easy when you think about it. Like, what would you do if you had a kid? If you had a child, you'd be like, oh, why don't you try this, honey? Like, try painting or whatever. Try drawing with the crayon. And if he does it, if he tries, you'd be like, okay, good. Like, now try in the lines, But you would be patient and you would just want him to keep engaging with life, like not go sit in the corner and cry. But with ourselves, when we do something and it's not perfect, we're like, you moron! Like, what's wrong with you? And this is not so helpful, right? So learning to let go of that is a big, big turning point. Actually, it's such a big turning point that sometimes I forget how profound that lesson was for me in my own life. It's something I didn't really learn as a poker player, or learn more as being an entrepreneur. Is just that you have to be willing to fail to ever get to the goals that you want. Not only that, you have to be willing to just see your failures and take the lessons. So it's like a statistician, like, okay, so this didn't work, this did work, this was working, but then it stopped working, and just kind of amass the conclusions. And all right, so now what? Liken it to, do you guys know what this creature is? A hydra, like this multi-headed dragon. Have you ever heard of a hydra? I don't know if it's quite a dragon, but it's like this animal that has many heads, and it's like a mythical animal. And if you fought one with a sword and you like chopped one head off, well, that head would fall off and two would grow back. So it's just like, big scary monsters and like Legend of Zelda and stuff. And a lot of people think that failure is like this big scary monster. Like, oh my God, I don't want to fail. I don't want to die, But really, you're the fucking hydra. Like, you're this thing that every time you get a head chopped off, you grow two back. Because every time you fail at something, you figure out something didn't work. You figure out the extent to which something else works, and you figure out something else you can try. So you become stronger, you become more resilient. It's called like being an anti-fragile system. An anti-fragile system is something that gets stronger when it gets broken. And people are like that. Knowledge systems are like that. Learning poker is like that. Every time you figure out something that was incorrect, your knowledge base is now superior to before you knew that that other thing wasn't correct. And, business is like that. Social relationships is like that. Every time you figure out something, okay, this doesn't work, now you're smarter. Now you're more wise. Now you know more and you're likely to be more successful in the future. So realizing that every time you get your head chopped off, you grow back too, makes it a lot easier to just kind of embrace failure and fail forward. That's one of the key lessons in life, I think. It's a game changer. It's a game changer not only for your success, not only for your courage, but also for your self-love. Because then when you mess something up, you don't feel bad anymore. You don't waste a lot of time having a pity party. If you think about most people here probably have a New Year's resolution. You guys have a New Year's resolution? Pop it in the chat if you do. Rocco, what's your New Year's resolution? Rocco's to eat cake. Yeah, say you have a New Year's resolution to go to the gym, right? And then you're going, 5 times a week. And then one week you don't feel so well and you don't go 3 times and you only went twice. If you're not in a spirit of encouraging yourself and failing forward and all this stuff, then when you only go twice, you define that to mean, oh, see, look, I knew I wasn't going to make it this time. It's no different than the past. I can't change. I'm a failure. I'm a loser. Like, I don't want to try. Because if I try again and I fail again, I'm going to reinforce my deepest fear, which is that I'm not good enough. Now, that's a whole lot of shit that doesn't need to be there. A more rational approach and a more in touch with helping the self approach is be like, okay, I tried for 5 days. I did it for a week, and then I couldn't do it the next week. So maybe going from 0 to 5 was too much. Maybe I should try 4 or even 3. And if I can be consistent with 3 days a week, then we'll go up to 4. It's just being practical. A lot of people that we work with, when they set out their schedule, often it's like people think they can go from 0, like having no organization in their life, to being the most productive person ever. And just like, okay, I'm going to do everything I've ever wanted to do. And that might work for a couple of weeks when you have momentum. But very often what happens is the journey of self-improvement is like motivation, momentum, and then grit or determination. And then you change your identity. So the first stage is feeling really good. The second stage is getting some repetitions in and having things start to change. But then the third stage is where those good feelings start to wear off and the momentum has subsided. And now it's where rubber meets the road. It's like that period where you just have to do it whether or not you feel like it. And that's where most people fail, right? That's where most people struggle a lot. They're like, I don't know how to get through the desert of all the days where I don't feel like doing the new habit I'm trying to learn. And during that stage is when you need to be able to be really practical about your energy, about your systems, and just be the tinkerer. Just adjust little things to help you become successful and not judge yourself really harshly that it's not easy. Because of course it's not easy. You're trying to rewire your brain. You're trying to change the circuitry upstairs to be a natural flow for behaviors that previously, for most of your life, have not been natural, have not been part of your daily operating system. But if you do that and you do it for long enough, then it becomes a part of your natural operating system. And to get up and do the behaviors that are good for you feels natural and normal. And that's the goal that we're going for, right? If it's not an identity level change, then it's a temporary change. But once it becomes an identity level change, then it's part of who you are. It's just like, yeah, I'm a fit person, or I'm a person who eats healthy, or I'm a poker player who studies, I'm a poker player who warms up for their sessions, or who cools down, or who ends my session with meditation instead of like a bottle of whiskey. It's like whatever you're trying to shift in your life, it becomes the real you, so to speak. And the old behaviors you used to do, the behaviors that weren't in alignment with your goals, that stops to be like who you think you really are deep inside. And it starts to be more of like a relic of your past. Like, oh yeah, this is how I used to handle conflict, or this is how I used to handle disappointment. This is how my younger self handled, failing or getting down on myself. But now that I'm older and I'm wiser and I've learned more, I handle the situation like this. I don't still beat myself up, or I don't still have a pity party when things go wrong. I don't still take unnecessary risks because I love myself and I don't want to put myself in bad situations. Of course, unnecessary risk being very different than having courage. Those are two completely separate things. One is having courage is going after what you want. That's not the same as like playing way outside your bankroll, right? Anyone else have a question? I don't think we've had too many questions, so I'm just like spouting off about fear of failure and the stages of self-development and all this stuff, which I'm happy to keep doing. But if anyone has a question they would like to get answered, please don't be shy. Pop up in the chat. We'd love to hear from you guys. I'll probably keep rapping for another maybe 10 minutes or so. Rocco, you want to greet the people? Let's get Rocco in the building. Nope. Sound was off for everybody. Thank you. Yeah, it should be back on now, right? If I touch the top of, you guys can't see my phallic shaped microphone, but if I touch the top of it, it goes mute. Is there always technical difficulties? All right, I'm back. Yeah, I think Rocco did turn it. Rocco, you turned off the microphone, bro. You turned off the microphone. He's just staring at me. He's like, I didn't do anything yet. Thank you guys for that. Damn, we got 139 likes. The people like the Santa hat, even though it's after the day. Oscar, what are your resolutions for 2022? More rocket ships? Viktor, welcome. You have a resolution for 2022? Jose, welcome. My thoughts on goal setting for 2022. Can you be a little bit more specific? Like in what regard? I mean, in general, I think for goal setting, it's definitely important to have goals. It's definitely important to write them down. Like if you can't hit a target you're not aiming for. And it's important to have timeframes for your goals. So, there's certain kinds of goals that are very metric driven. So if you're going to have a goal of, go to the gym 3 times per week for the month of January, that's a very different goal because it's very time bound and very specific and it's for a short period of time. If your goal is to like become the best poker player I can be, well, that's not it's not that tangible, right? So the shorter the time frame, the more tangible, the more metrics, the more measurable you want your goals to be. Like you've probably heard this cliche acronym of like the SMART goal. It's like specific, measurable, actionable. I don't remember what R is, and then traceable. But I think when you look out like 3 to 5 years, you can have a bit more of a doesn't have to be so time bound, doesn't have to be so specific. Like, my goal in 3 to 5 years could be more like a life's mission. Like, I want to help people become the best person they know how to be and to enjoy their life and be more present. Now, if I was saying, okay, that's my goal for the next 3 to 5 years, James is a guy you come see when you want to enjoy your life more, you want to make the most of it, and you want to like reach the goals that you're aiming for. So people come to me, they say, hey, James, like I would like to be living like this, but unfortunately right now I'm living like this. Can you help me? And I say yes, and we get that done. So that would be like James's like, broad goal. But in terms of specifics, in terms of like the next quarter, what's James going to do in the first quarter of 2022? Well, it's like, okay, I want to get this many people enrolled in my program. I want to get this many one-on-one coaching clients. I want to get this many people to my retreat. I want to organize a mastermind. Like, it's very specific. So if I was a poker player, which I kind of am, but I'm a little bit retired, I would look at my goals like, okay, so in the next 5 years, I want to be the best poker player I'm capable of being. So in the next year, I want to be really specific about my study habits. I want to have my study in the calendar, and it's like an appointment with a personal trainer. I do it no matter what. It's not optional. I want to make sure that I approach my sessions like a professional. So every session gets a warm up. Every session goes to cool down. I want to make sure that let's see what else. I'm doing X number of hands per month. And if I'm going to I wouldn't think of myself as a robot though. I would know that there's times in the year where I might want to play more, and there's times in the year when I might want to play less. So, for you, example, Oscar, you have kids. So there's probably a month in the year that you're going to take a vacation. I'm not going to let myself get to that month and then feel bad about myself for taking a vacation, because that'd be crazy. I'm going to plan ahead that, hey, in July, I'm taking the family to wherever. So in July, I don't care. I don't have to play, or I'm only going to play, 5,000 hands or whatever feels aligned for you. But I'm going to put it in the writing for myself at the beginning of the year that like I'm taking some time off in this month and some time off in that month. That way, when it gets there, I don't feel bad. There's a huge mistake that people make is if they try to be too strict with themselves and they don't give them breaks in their diet or in their time management, then when they decide to have a pizza or go on a vacation, they feel bad about it, which, guys, life is too short for that, right? So when you're enjoying yourself, you don't want to feel bad. So it's just important to kind of, in a broader time picture, you can plan for the time you're going to take off, the time you're going to relax. So you might know ahead of time how many days per week you're going to eat whatever you want, or how many days per week you're going to go to the gym in the whole year. And that way you don't have to feel bad like if you're momentarily off track. You just know where the big time picture looks like. My focus and priority is to keep working on my mindset and myself. The mindset is so important because it's the one thing that you can do that like unequivocally will make you happier. So, a lot of people don't understand this, but a lot of people, they go through life, right? And there's two sides of a pyramid. On one side is like more money, more status, nicer car, nicer house, like play higher stakes, all this stuff that like my ego wants and I think is important. And look, all that stuff is nice. I'm not going to say anything bad about having more money, having nicer stuff. Like, that's fine. But on this other side of the pyramid is like, what you hear Eckhart Tolle talk about, Michael Singer, in the Bhagavad Gita, whatever. This is like how to appreciate your life, how to be present, how to actually enjoy what you have. And most people are like working on this so hard that this is almost like a pathetic little, like tiny fringe support. And then they don't understand. Like, they're like, okay, I got this much, and like I'm still reaching for more, and I'm still not happy, and I'm still not satisfied, and I'm still not fulfilled. Well, like, what if you worked on this side too? Like, just in case, fulfillment and gratitude are the important things. Why not try to bring those into the mix and just be happy while you're, super ambitious and driven? Because I've met plenty of people who are super ambitious and driven at varying levels of success, but I can tell you almost unequivocally that the ones who don't care about being present, being happy, and enjoying their life typically aren't present, happy, or enjoying their life. But if you can do those things, then you already won. And then you can either, work as hard and be as successful as you want to be, or you can take time off and be with your family. And like, either way, it's okay. When you're all about the ambition with no regard for the enjoyment of your life, when things don't go well, especially things out of your control, it's like the one source of happiness that people had was taken away, and there's nothing they can do. So it's really, really important to kind of build both sides of the pyramid. And one thing you realize as well is like, when you're present, when you're happy, when you're fulfilled, when you don't need anything from success or from anybody else to like feel the way you want to feel in your life, more people want to work with you. More people want to collaborate with you. More people want to study with you. More people want to do things together with you because they want to be around like that kind of person, be part of that energy. So you actually end up being able to both achieve more and have more fun because you started by like having fun and enjoying your life. But when you're always like, okay, I'm going to achieve all this stuff, get all this stuff, and then one day I'm going to figure out how to be happy. Well, I mean, that work's always there. So you might as well start doing it now because it doesn't get easier as you get older, right? If you keep kicking the can down the road that I'm going to work on my mindset, I'm going to work on my perspective, what actually happens is the grooves in your brain get deeper. The longer you've been pessimistic, the longer you've been toxic or negative inside your own mind about other people, about the circumstances in your life, the harder it is to change. Because if you think about it, the older you get, the more years you've held a certain viewpoint for. So then when you realize, hey, this viewpoint, this way I'm seeing the world, it's not making me happy. Well, what are you going to do about it? Because now the longer you've thought that way for, the more and more real it seems to you. Whereas the sooner you challenge your beliefs, the sooner you say, you know what, these things I've thought about the world or about my neighbors or about myself that aren't nice and aren't positive and aren't helping me, that's bullshit. And I'm going to let that go. The sooner you do that, the easier it is. But the longer that you're like, digging your heels in, the harder it is. And you guys have probably all experienced this. You probably all know someone in your life, like maybe a parent or a loved one, like, or a neighbor, a friend's parent, someone who's older in life, and they just have a certain way of thinking that makes them less happy. But the problem is they think it's the truth. They think that's like the God honest truth, the way the world is. So you can't change your mind because they think if you're trying to change your mind, you're lying. So they're like, I know that life sucks, but it's true. And what happens when you think that? You're unhappy. And there's a lot of people I feel very sympathetic and bad for them because there's a lot of people who go through life and that's their biggest problem. Is it the negative things they think that make them unhappy? They can't let them go because they believe they're true. Once you learn that many things in life are non-falsifiable, you're able to kind of just change the frame. Like I have this silly hat on, I can take it off, or I have a pair of glasses on and I can take them off, right? I just go, okay, the way I'm looking through these lenses, things don't look so positive. So let me take them off and look with these eyes, with a fresh set of eyes, and see if they look better. Because ultimately, whatever perspective I'm choosing is probably not the one true truth of reality. Like very few things in life are like that. Many things are open to interpretation. So you might as well choose an empowering interpretation because it will unequivocally get you better results. See 100 in the chat from Jose. Thank you for that, buddy. Any of you guys who are watching, Olav, welcome, my friend. Giannis, if either of you guys have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them. We're going to keep rapping for another 5 minutes, and then we're going to close it down. And thank you guys so much for being here, sharing you on Monday morning with me. Hope you guys have enjoyed this impromptu rap on 2022 goals and perspective and overcoming fear of failure and all that good stuff. Dawood, another one of our crushers from 5-card PLO. I am now fully caffeinated, so watch out. Julia, are you still in the building? All right, yeah, Julia's still in the building, so no problems. What are we eating for breakfast when we're done? Chilaquiles? If you guys haven't been to Mexico, the best breakfast in Mexico, unequivocally, is chilaquiles. It's like nachos, but instead of like traditional nacho toppings, you get eggs and you get sauce. And there's 3 sauces. There's red sauce, there's green sauce, and there's mole sauce. Mole sauce is the best. It's like a chocolate sauce, which sounds disgusting, especially with eggs. But it's like a chili chocolate, and I promise you it's good. I will post a picture if I get if I get mole enchiladas later, or mole chilaquiles. What was the key moment for you that your mindset shifted? This is a great question, actually. So the key moment for me when my mindset shifted, I was like, green sauce is not the best, Julia. I was about 26, 27, sometime in there. It was about 7 or 8 years ago for me. And I went through a breakup with a person I've been dating. And afterward, I found myself very unhappy. And the thing was, like, I should have been happy. So, my goal in life had been to be a poker player. and I had played poker for almost 10 years, and I was making very good money. I was making, more than 10K a month, which is, plenty to live on where I lived. I lived in Europe where the, you know, average salary is probably, 40K a year or something like this, or sorry, 14K a year. So I was way outperforming the average salary. I had plenty of money. I could go to any restaurant I wanted, go out, do whatever, take vacations. And I wasn't happy. And I'm trying to think like why I'm not happy. Like I got my goal, and I just I realized that there was nothing actually making me unhappy. In my brain, there was like in my brain, it's like, oh, like this person did this, or like this didn't work out, so like of course I'm unhappy. But tangibly, like really, there was nothing actually present in my life causing my unhappiness. And in that moment, I had to kind of come to a little bit of a brutal realization for myself. It's like everything that's causing my unhappiness is in here. And that was big. That was hard. That was a difficult thing to admit. But seriously, like I had no illness, I had no circumstance beyond my control. I just wasn't happy, and that was my own damn fault. So when I realized that, it became critical to me to solve that problem. So I'm like, okay, making more money is not going to help me, but figuring out why I'm not happy, that would be incredibly important, because right now I feel like really bad. So I started reading a lot of books, and I probably read, I don't know, maybe 200 books that year, because I was pretty depressed. But like one thing I could do is if I was depressed and I'm sitting on the couch, I'd be like, all right, well, I got my phone. My phone can play audiobooks, so I'm just going to pick one and press play. And I would just lie there and listen to it. So every morning I would wake up, I would go to the gym, because going to the gym chemically makes you happier. I would meditate because I understood that meditation was going to help me with my thoughts. And then I would just pick something positive and listen to it. And I did this every day for like 6-8 months. And over time, I learned a lot. Because the thing was, the whole time I was focused on poker and making more money and becoming more successful, I wasn't learning about emotional regulation, emotional intelligence, psychology, how your childhood affects you, attachment styles, what makes a healthy relationship, like all this kind of adult stuff that you need to know to live a high quality life. There's lots of it. There's lots of interpersonal understandings that you want to have a happy life as an adult human being. But none of that is learned in an ICM calculator, in an HRC or in, odds oracle. So the whole time I was playing poker and focused on just like, okay, I'm trying to make more money and be as successful as possible and learning about crypto or whatever, none of that time was I learning the life skills I needed to be like a happy, well-integrated person. And now I realized, okay, this path further won't change anything. I need to learn the other stuff. So I went all in on that. I traveled the world. I went to different events, like, different retreats, went to South America, went to see Tony Robbins, like I read tons of books. And during this time, I started listening to podcasts every day, like just immersed myself in an education about how to have like a good life, how to be grateful, how to be happy, how to be positive, optimistic. And it's almost like you brainwash yourself. Like if you've been in a certain kind of environment where people are very negative, very toxic, and you realize like this isn't making me happy, let me get around people who are enjoying life, who are making the most of their time, who are helping each other, who are sharing information. And let me immerse myself in that until that feels normal. And that's basically what I did. Whether I always thought this, like if you can't get around the people that you'd most want to hang out with, you can always listen to them. You can always listen to their podcasts, listen to their books. Like you can always immerse yourself in the ideas of those people. And the more I changed the information that was flowing between my ears, the more my perspective just organically, day by day, started to shift until I started to realize, like, my God, like I can't believe I used to think this way about life. I can't believe I used to think so small, so narrow, so negative, I guess. But that was a big turning point for me. It was just realizing that my trajectory, while it had success at times, certainly like what we marker as signs of success, like how much money you're making, like how much you can afford to spend or this kind of thing, it wasn't actually going to get me to the goal, which is like truly being fulfilled and happy. And I realized that what I needed for that goal was to change some things inside. So then I focused exclusively on the inner work. And once I solved that, it was kind of like, okay, well, I wouldn't say solve this, a bit like big-headed to say, but once I made massive progress in that area, it was like, okay, well, what should I do now? And it's like, it's not such a pivotal question, because it's like you're not looking at what you should do next as it's going to like solve all your problems. You're more like, okay, now that I've solved a lot of these problems and I'm continuing to grow, what's a aligned business or aligned way of living that I can do to continue my work and also maybe share some of it. And that's kind of how I led myself into becoming a coach, which is realizing, well, I really enjoy taking my life in this direction and learning and expanding in my own mind. So how can I make that something I can do to share with other people? How can I help other people? And how can I make it something where if I want to devote all my time to that, that's okay. I don't need to, devote massive amounts of time to other things that aren't that. And that was really my big process that I went through. One thing I do want to share about that without going into too much detail is like, I don't talk about it very often, but for me, it was a very low place, like very, very low, very dark, very sad. And the only reason I share that is because I think it's important that people who are in a place where they feel really, really bad understand that that's not forever. Like, I don't like to hash out all the details, but I just do think it's important that people, a lot of times when you are feeling really bad and when things in your life are going really terrible, you kind of think anyone who's doing better than me and who's happy never went through something like this. Like all these people who are fine, they clearly don't know what I'm dealing with. And that's kind of the ego. And I felt a lot of that when I was really down. I felt like nobody understands, like none of these people are dealing with the like levels of depression I'm dealing with, like the levels of, how bad I felt on a day-to-day basis. And it isn't true. I mean, it may be true that a lot of people haven't, but that almost doesn't matter because for sure some people have, and some people have dealt with way worse. So for me, certain stories like Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, the story of the guy who survived the Holocaust, that was a big one for me. It really put my suffering in perspective. And I think it's important to know that, like, no matter how deep you are in the pit of despair at times, for sure there's been someone who's gone through things that would make that look like a walk in the park. And it's not a one-upsmanship thing. It's just to know there's always hope. There's always a way out. You can always improve your situation. And like, there are plenty of people who are, doing really great in life who have been through things that might seem unimaginable to you. I don't know if you guys know this, but Oprah, like, I'm not going to tell the story because it's that graphic, but she had like one of the worst upbringings of any person I've ever heard of. If you Google and, I'm not sure you want to, but Google like Oprah's childhood, it's horrific. It's like one of the saddest stories you ever hear. And she's such a beacon of light for people. She's such a positive person. She's like, does so much for charity. So never think that you're too far gone, and never think that you can't basically rectify and remedy yourself. Because no matter what you've been through, no matter what you may be currently going through, there is always, always, always a way that you can get from where you are to the place where you want to be. It may not look exactly like where you're thinking, but like something in that realm. So never give up on yourself, and always know that whatever you're going through, if you're going through hell, keep on going. You're very welcome. Thank you for asking a question. Salvador the Professor is in the building. Victor, welcome. We are getting ready to wrap up here in the next few minutes, but if either of you guys have a question, don't hesitate to drop it in the chat. Rocco has already made his appearance on the broadcast, so the highlights have already been in. Welcome, Dan. Salvador, you have a question? I don't want to jinx it. I'm just happy that the stream hasn't crashed. The last time I did this, the stream crashed like halfway through. Pretty pleased with this. If you got a question, you got to pop it in the chat because Julia wants breakfast. I can hear her stomach grumbling from the other room. Roland, welcome. Topic can be anything mindset related, personal development, or honestly anything. I'm not really not too worried about it. I answer questions about chilaquiles. I answer questions about what I did for Christmas. We talked about whether or not Rocco has babies. Nothing's off limits. Martin, welcome. Welcome to all the new people joining. If any of you guys have questions for me, feel free to drop them in the chat. If you don't get any new questions the next couple of minutes, I'm going to wrap it up and say thank you very much for joining us today on this post-Christmas little casual AMA. But if you've ever had a question you want to ask me about any topic under the sun, this is the moment. I'm going to go until 50. Rocco, what would you ask me a question if you could talk? Rocco just stumbled back into the room. Saw a meme today, and it said the guy was like, the genie said you have 3 wishes. And the guy like said, okay, number 1, I wish my dog could talk. And the guy was like, okay, done. And then the guy turns to his dog and he's like, hey buddy, you've got 2 wishes. I thought it was so clever. MTTs are hard. What's your advice on that? My advice on poker in general, but especially tournaments, it really doesn't matter what format, but if you think poker's hard, just get better because you can't control anything else, right? So if poker is hard, you have 2 options. Find something easier or be better than the competition to the extent that how hard it is becomes less significant. It really is as simple as that. So if tournaments are hard or if the games you're playing in don't seem soft, find a better site, find a softer competition, whether that's live, whether it's in a softer website, softer apps or whatever. Or if the tournaments you're playing in aren't soft, but some soft cash games, like on Poker Bros, for example, you can switch to a different format or a different site where the games are softer. That's one way to increase your edge. The other way to increase your edge is to study harder than the competition, get in better study groups, get better training partners, basically, so that it doesn't matter how hard or stiff the competition is because your edge is bigger. So either by finding softer competition, by improving your own win rate, or by a combination of both of those things, you need to make how difficult the games are less of an issue for you by increasing your gap relative to the average of the competition. Does that make sense? How is living in Mexico? Overall, very good. Like if I showed you guys outside my window, I can see the beach. I can see the ocean from here. There's a bunch of trees and then just blue. It's very beautiful. Certain things are kind of not so fantastic relative to other places. But overall, it's pretty good. We've been really, really unaffected by a lot of the COVID stuff, like no, severe mandates, not too many strict lockdowns. I mean, we were at the beach yesterday. There was tons of people there, just everybody enjoying kind of thing. And, when your biggest complaint is that when you order grocery delivery, sometimes they don't give you exactly what you ordered and they substitute stuff without asking. I mean, this is kind of a champagne problem, right? What's your opinion? Is it better to get better at cash game and climb higher limits or start learning Omaha? Join 5. That's my opinion. In all seriousness, there's a different quality of life as a tournament player or a cash game player. If consistent winning is important to you, like if you want to win more than half the days you play poker and you want to have a steady income where you win like 10 months out of the year, then I would study cash games. And if you're okay with variance, if you're really okay and you want to have those big life-changing scores at your career, then I guess tournaments is the thing for you. It's really a personality difference. But for sure, in terms of what game to learn, you want to learn the game where you can play against the opponents you'll be the most better than. So a lot of people get held back, like they don't want to learn a new format. But if you have an opportunity to play in a really soft game, you should. I would learn a game I've never played before tomorrow. If you told me that 3 days from now I could play it against some guys who are really bad at it. That's the way poker works. And a lot of people don't understand that. They get caught up in the idea I'm a no limit hold'em 6-max player. Okay, great. How soft is no limit hold'em 6-max games you're playing? Well, I can make 3 BBs per 100. Okay, great. Well, if I told you can play 5-card PLO against 2 guys who have no idea what they're doing and just going all in every hand, would you want to learn 5-card PLO? And they're like, no, I play no limit hold'em. Okay, good, fine. You know what I mean? But for me personally, I will learn Deuce to 7. I will learn Badugi. I will learn whatever game you tell me. I can then quickly go and play against people who have no idea what they're doing. Because that's the whole point of poker, is to play against people who are recreational gamblers, who are playing for fun. The one thing about poker is the only form of gambling where as a professional, you get to compete against guys who aren't necessarily even trying to win. They're trying to have fun. So when you have the opportunity to learn a new kind of poker, like it really matters what your network is like, what your game selection is like. And it's one of the things, like a lot of poker players are introverted. And a lot of poker players just spend time like, studying in their room with their computer and their solvers. And they don't like do the stuff that might be way more low hanging fruit, like making friends with some guy who knows somebody who knows access to a certain game where you can play like 10, 20 against a bunch of recreationals, and like getting into one good game is more valuable than like 50 hours in the lab to be like a fraction of a big blind better playing against a bunch of other professionals. So, I mean, sometimes like being more smart in that sense, like let me be 1% better than my opponents, isn't as smart as realizing there's a massive edge to be had by finding a greener pasture. So I would ask yourself first, like, what are the softest games I can get into? And understand, like, before your poker career is over, you might learn 10 different games, But it's one of two things. Either you become the absolute best in the freaking world at the game that you just love, and then you can play anybody. Or you be a bit more of a chameleon and be willing to learn whatever game happens to be good. Because whatever happens to be good might change 10 or 15 times before your career is over. So it might be worthwhile to be flexible. And also it's more fun, at least for me. I enjoy learning new variants. If you don't have a poker friends to study with, how do you study effectively? Well, make poker friends, honestly. I mean, when I was living in New York in 2008, I moved to Las Vegas, like broke up with my girlfriend, moved across the United States. I didn't know anybody. I just knew that I was the smartest poker player I knew, and that was a problem because I wasn't that good. So I was like, okay, I'm going to move to Vegas where I might make more friends. And I went on like a poker forum, like 2+2, and I put ads out and said, who wants to live in a house together? Like I was willing to change my whole life. And obviously if some people have kids or they have like school and stuff like that, it may not be an option, but I would make poker friends. I mean, in our mindset course, in Poker Mindset Mastery, there's loads of guys in that program who I think one of the kind of like unsung benefits of why people join my program is because they understand that when they join this program, if they don't have a poker network, they will. Like you will make friends. Day one, you can say, hey guys, I'm new here. I'm looking for somebody to study XYZ game with. And you'll have people DM you and say, okay, let's make an appointment on Skype or TeamViewer or whatever. So joining a program, whether it's my program or another one of the good programs out there, but definitely join a program where there's a community and then interact with people in the community. Because like, honestly, like it makes a huge difference if you're the only good poker player and then you keep talking poker with like your friend from high school who's like no good at poker. That's really seriously gonna like influence your trajectory, like how far you can develop. But if you make friends with someone who's maybe 5, 10, 20% better than you, and they're also really driven and ambitious, that'll like motivate you to keep up with them. And one of the biggest things that affects your outcomes in life is who you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with 4 or 5 people who aren't doing that much, if you accomplish even a little bit, you feel like you overachieved. But if you surround yourself with people who are working really hard, really aiming for the top, well, then you don't take your foot off the gas because you're like, yeah, I want to keep up with these people. And humans are social animals. We're social creatures. So super, super important to get around a better environment. It doesn't mean you can't be friends with certain people anymore. It doesn't mean you have to cut them out, but you need to also have that highly motivated and highly driven and highly resourceful environment. Because if your friend circle is satisfied with, very minimal accomplishments, it's going to almost feel socially uncalibrated for you to be really driven and really motivated and have very big goals. It's almost like, dude, what are you doing? Like, we're all fine. So if you really want to advance in poker, definitely join a community where exponential achievement is normal. And if you're looking for one, definitely send us a direct message and we'll give you more information about our community. So I've now played cash games last 3 years. I've written to you applying for PLO5. I don't have any background in our hand histories. I guess the big thing with PLO5 is, are you a full-time player? I don't actually handle the initial interview process, so my assistant Michael handles that. But if you're really serious about playing for 5, definitely just keep pestering us and telling us why we should sign you. That is the big thing, though, right? For us, we found that players who are not full-time committed, it's tough because just statistically, if a player is not full-time and then they start going on a downswing, they tend to not play. And this is obviously problematic, right? Because they're like, okay, well, now when I play poker, I haven't been winning, so I prefer not to play and just focus on my job or whatever. Whereas like guys who are full-time, when they go on a downswing, they're like, oh no, like I'm not being on a downswing. I'm going to play until I'm not, and it's just as an organization for us, it makes a lot more sense to put our time and resources into people who are equally committed. Like this is our business. This is what we do. We train people to beat 5-card PLO. We want to work with people who their business is like, I'm here to beat 5-card PLO and nothing else, right? Like I'm here to be a professional, successful 5-card PLO player. And when guys have that attitude, the sky's the limit. We had a guy, Thomas, on our team who started out playing 2-cent, 5-cent. They literally 2-cent, 5-cent. You got a $5 stack, which is like, this is child's play. And it's been less than 8 months and he's playing 1-2. I mean, 1-2, you got $200 in front of you. You win 5 stacks at 1-2, you won $1,000 that day. And he's like, in his early 20s. So he went from playing micro stakes to beating 1-2. And honestly, I think by this time next year, he'll be playing 10-20 because he's in the process. He's 100% committed and he's no more or less able than other guys we've had who joined us at 1-2 or 50-cent dollar who are now playing 5-10 or 10-20. So we have a very clear process, like, post hands here, get feedback from your coaches here, watch this video content, work with this software, and we explain everything. So for guys who are ready to go all in and like I'm very serious about getting to 5-10, 10-20 and being winning players, we have an exact process for that. But I mean, it takes 2 or 3 times as long if the person has a whole bunch of other distractions, if they have another full-time job, if they're playing tournaments as well, like a couple of days a week, like, if you really want to go from never playing 5-card PLO before to being a winning player at 10-20, it kind of takes your everything. It kind of has to be your main thing in life. But if it is, it's possible. Does that make sense? Well, yeah, I mean, that's another thing. I mean, obviously, if you're playing PLO just to make a bankroll to go play live tournaments, I mean, it's not great for the team that's investing in you to make you a fantastic PLO player if your end game is not to be a fantastic PLO player, right? So it's a lot of work that goes into becoming a successful player in any format. So, ideally, if we're going to be really driven to train somebody to be a world-class PLO 5 player, that should be their goal, to be a world-class PLO 5 player. I mean, if your goal is to have a bankroll to play live tournaments, it might make more sense to apply for a tournament staking deal where you can get coached and staked for tournaments, or even a CFP deal. Like Poker Detox, I think, is the best tournament stable in the world right now. And if I was a poker tournament player, which I kind of am, but if that was my big goal, is to be a tournament poker player and I wanted to get better, I would apply to them. I would apply to their CFP deal or to their staking deal. I don't know if they have staking exactly, but I know they have CFP because I think they're the best. They do all the database analysis. Their systems. I know Nick really well, and I think he's a fantastic mind for poker. So if tournament poker was my end game and that's where I wanted to be, then I would try to work with them. I actually don't play 5-card PLO, which is funny because we have a stable, right? But by the time we started the stable, I'm only really playing poker 1-2 days a week. So it didn't really make sense for me to learn a new game. I mean, I probably will learn it at some point, but right now I'm more focused on connecting the 5-card PLO opportunity to people who really want that opportunity. I don't have 40 hours a week to dedicate. I don't have, 5 days of playing time. So I almost feel like it's a bit selfish for me if I took 20 hours each week or 40 hours each week and sat down and like, okay, I'm going to work with 5-card PLO, Odds Oracle, and watch all the videos. And like, if I treated myself like a student, when I have a team of like 22 guys right now who I could be helping them, or I could be recruiting the next 22 guys to make our team of 45 players. If there's a guy out there who's 23 years old and loves poker and doesn't have a clear path right now to victory, and I can, through social media, through my emails, through my marketing, connect with that person and help them get signed up for 5, why wouldn't I do that rather than like take his spot on the roster? Because he probably doesn't have my network. He probably doesn't have access to thousands of poker players every day. He doesn't have the opportunity to do what I'm doing. But it's like I don't need to take that place, if that makes sense. So, I mean, I still play PLO. I was playing some 2-5 and 5-10 PLO last night at the end of my Sunday session. And for sure, I mean, I'm interested in 5-card PLO, but I'm more interested in hosting a retreat. I'm more interested in putting together a mastermind for my coaching clients. I'm more interested in continuing to grow my skill set as a coach. So I just have to be honest with myself. Like I'm not hungry like someone who still has that, I gotta, get to these certain stakes in poker to like feel a success in my poker career. I mean, if I never achieved anything else in poker, I'd be absolutely fine. which isn't the greatest place to be coming from if you want to be a crusher. Because honestly, if I think about what do I want to do with my free time, it's probably more read books or like learn new skills than learn poker. Because I already did 12, 13 years of learning the math of new poker games. I was playing sit and goes back in 2008 using sit and go wizard, learning all the math of like this spot and that spot. And, I still do bounty spots and HRC and stuff for tournaments, but, I've spent a lot of hours running sims, hitting load on the calculator, writing in my notebook what I think the output's going to look like, and then looking at the screen and seeing how correct I was. Like, I've done that for 10 years, and I don't know how many years I get to be alive for, but if I've already done 10, 12 years of poker math and guessing to see if I was correct, I kind of want to do more things with people. And I'd rather connect people to the opportunity to make what's life-changing money for them while learning a poker variant than like let all those people down and not make those opportunities for them because I was, I needed to be the guy, if that makes sense. Any other questions? I see some other comments, like what games are you playing? I think it's a question somebody else in the chat. Okay, yeah. Yeah, guys, if you play PLO and you're interested in learning PLO 5, definitely send us a DM. Just DM us PLO 5, and we'll be happy to send you an application, and we can see if it's a good fit to work together in our PLO stable. PLO stable's been crushing, doing really, really well. I honestly very, very happy with how the stable is going. Almost everyone, I think we have 21 guys in our team right now, and only 2 are in makeup. So 90% of our team is in profit right now. And the 2 guys who are in makeup, we have not a worry in the world about. We are very confident in them. We know they're going to do well. So we have a lean, mean fighting machine of PLO players, and we're always looking to add to that. But it's very careful. We want to make sure we bring in people. It's not a service to anybody else if we bring in someone to the team who we don't think is going to crush, right? If we don't think we can help you become a big success, then we're going to waste our time and yours by signing up. So we are very diligent in our interview process. We want to make sure that we bring people in that are at a point in their life where they're ready for this opportunity. But when that's a fit, yeah, man, sky's the limit. Almost everyone we bring in is crushing. So it's a very good fit. And then, of course, whatever variant you play, whether you play tournaments, whether you play cash games, whether you play live, online, whatever, we'd love to have you in our mindset program. Mindset program is all about just improving the quality of life for poker players. That means making more money. It means having more poker friends. It means seeing life in a different way where you get to be happier regardless of how much money you make, helping you through variance, and just giving you the skill set, the time management, the study skills you need to be a long-term professional. Because, I've been in this game for 12, 13 years now, and it's tough being a poker player. It's a hard way to make an easy living, right? And we want to make sure that we give you guys all the skills you need to succeed, and just be there to support you in that journey. So if you guys are interested in that, if you whatever format you're playing, definitely just send us a DM. Let us know about the mindset program, and we'll be happy to get you started. We got a holiday sale going on until the end of today for $300 off that program. What limit should you play for PLO 5 to have enough money to live in Mexico? That's a very interesting question, actually. So if you play 2, 4, 3, 6, like $2, $4, or $3, $6, we estimate that you make, between $100 and $150 an hour. And of course, if you're staked, you're going to get half of that. So it depends if you're talking about playing on your own or playing staked. But for guys on our team who are staked, we estimate that you're going to make between $50 and $80 an hour playing mid stakes. So, to live in Mexico, it depends what kind of quality of life you have. But I would imagine you can, if you're splitting rent with a roommate, you can pay less than $1,000. If you're living on your own or with a girlfriend and you're the only one paying, you might pay a little bit more than $1,000 for your rent. Electricity is expensive, so a few hundred dollars for that. And then it really matters. You can go out and eat tacos for $2, or you can go to Sonora Grill and pay $150 for dinner. So it really just matters what kind of level of lifestyle you're trying to have. But you can definitely live out here. I'm sure there's plenty of guys living out here in less than $2K a month, right? Or close to that, right? So their rent, their gym membership, their food. I think you can live here on $2K a month. So if you're putting in even if you're making $50 an hour, right? That's what, 1 week, 40 hours. So I think playing mid stakes is definitely enough, whether you're staked or not. I think playing 50-cent dollar, 25-cent, 50 cents is probably going to be a struggle, but 50-cent dollar or higher, or 1-2 staked, I think you'd be all right. I would just want to have a couple months under my belt to show myself that I'm winning, right? But again, I think it's kind of good to have that hunger, right? As I talked about why I don't play five card PLO, I don't have the hunger where I would need to learn it to have a better quality of life. So I would need like just absolute passion and love for the game, which I'm not sure I have either. Just like, oh, I love math, But if you've got this idea of a lifestyle you want to have, and to have that lifestyle, you need to make $50, $100 an hour, and that you can make $50, $100 an hour by ascending to say like 2, 4, and 3, 6 PLO. Well, now you've got a really clear goal, and that's a goal that has really clear, actionable steps to get there. Show up for coaching, watch these videos, make play and explain videos, like do all this stuff that helps you get better. So if you have that like clear path to a goal, and the goal has clear rewards for your life, that's sort of a perfect storm of motivation. So, I mean, I'm not saying 5 card PLO is a thing for you. I don't know you well enough to say that, but like whatever the thing is for you and whoever you are in your life, like having a goal that will impact the quality of your life, and then having a clear path to that goal, that's a recipe for success. All right, guys, if there's no more questions, it's going to wrap it up here. If any of you guys would like to join our mindset program, we have $300 off to the end of the day. That is Eastern time, so till 11:59 Eastern. You can send me a DM, and my team will get you set up. And if any of you guys are interested, all right, we got one more question. What would you say if you've played 40 to 60 hours full-time for 3 years with study, sport, meditation, and want to take 1 to 3 months off for travel or other things? Do you think it influences my game? Yeah, I mean, for sure. If you take time off, you just need to be delicate with the getting back into the game. And this is something we talked about a lot at BitB when I worked with Patrick Leonard and some of the best tournament players in the world. Like, it's important to take breaks. Just don't kid yourself that when, like, the big mistake everybody makes, and I made this mistake in my career too, I'm trying to tell you this so you don't make this mistake. If you're playing a certain stake and a certain limit, and then you take 3 months off, be humble enough that when you come back, you don't just start playing in that stake and limit again right away your first day back just because you have enough money in your bankroll. I made this mistake a lot with sit and goes. Like I was playing 1K, 2K sit and goes. I took 2 months off poker and traveled in America. And then I jumped back in at high stakes. And what do you think happened? I got slaughtered. And it's like in my brain, I didn't feel like I forgot anything. In my mind, and maybe I just ran bet. I can't say for sure. But it wouldn't have really cost me anything to just drop stakes a lot and start out at $100 sit and goes instead of 1K sit and goes. And then just see that I was winning, book a few winning days and then move up quickly, right? So if you take 2 months off, 3 months off, I think that's beautiful. Like, enjoy your life. If you ever want to, travel Europe or go to Nepal or, do any number of great, amazing things that are to do out in life outside of poker, go do them. Like, that's what life's really about. But if you do something like that, if you do take a month or more off of poker, ease yourself back in, start out watching, a course, watching a course on or Pad's course or Run It Once videos or, ease yourself back in, watch some training material, play shorter sessions, play at stakes where you don't give a shit if you lose, like low stakes, and just take your first week transitioning back into poker, even your first 4 or 5 days, and just let yourself build up some momentum, winning at easy games. And then quickly, but not too quickly, get yourself back to where you're playing before, because it sucks balls, honestly, to be crushing, take 3 months off, and then jump right back in at high stakes and get slaughtered. And then the last thing you want is to come back from vacation and drop a ton of money, drop twice what you spent on vacation in the first week you're back. It's terrible. So that would be my, the good advice I never took that I really strongly encourage you to take. If you can learn from someone else's lived experience, we call that wisdom. And that's definitely more valuable than experience. All right, guys, thank you very much for your time and attention. Really appreciate you guys being here. I'm going to send it off for now. And if you guys want to join the Mindset program, send us a direct message or just click the link in my bio. And if you want to apply for 5, send us a DM. This is PLO 5. Love you guys. Thank you.